This video was created during the 2023 WGA and SAG strikes. Without the labor of the writers and actors currently on strike, Ahsoka wouldn't exist. Learn more about the strike at the link in the description.
Grogu, the Mandalorian, yeah.
Betrayal. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. For our first question, S. Kurup asks for our take on whether or not Ahsoka is a Jedi.
I've seen a lot of people get heated over this on Twitter.
Heated?
Yeah.
On Twitter?
You'd think, yeah, Twitter,
What?
known for its chill environment.
You mean X?
Huh? Oh, whatever. The site. That website. But there's a reason for it. I mean, Ahsoka herself said, I am no Jedi in Star Wars Rebels.
They've put it on merch. It's on the arm of one of my jackets, that bomber jacket.
Does it say, I am no Jedi?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Interesting.
So yeah, there is that. But then in the marketing, they have been calling her a Jedi. The episode of The Mandalorian that she is first in is called The Jedi. So, I mean, I think that, technically, Ahsoka didn't graduate Jedi high school. So, technically, she's not a Jedi, but still, she learned from the best. Mm-hmm. Not just Anakin, but Obi-Wan and Yoda and, Plo Koon and this whole plethora. You love to point out in our Clone Wars rewatch that she learned from so many Jedi Masters.
Yeah. Anakin was technically her master, but, if you watch the Clone Wars, she has these episodes where, Tara Sinube and, all the other Jedi Masters will teach her one lesson or two lessons here and there, and just throughout the whole Clone Wars, you're like, okay, she might be the most well-rounded Jedi she's ever existed.
She got a really well-rounded education. I do think that she does not consider herself a Jedi, as she said in Star Wars Rebels, but I'm I still consider her to be a Jedi and the embodiment of what a Jedi should be. Mm-hmm. Just someone that, everywhere she goes, she's like, people need help, I will help them. That's what Jedi should do. So, in my mind, I'm she is still a Jedi, even if she doesn't think she is.
When is it that she says that?
Star Wars Rebels, Twilight of the Apprentice. She says that to Vader.
To Vader,
because he says, revenge is not the Jedi way. She says, I will avenge Anakin. Mm-hmm. And she says, well, I'm no Jedi.
I think that there's a reason that that's who she said that to, and that she doesn't want to believe she is a Jedi in that moment, or she's trying to take a jab at him for what he's become, maybe, but I do think that she is a Jedi. She's doing Jedi things and living in a very Jedi way, or what we assume how she's living is. And I think that's going to be part of her journey in this show, is her learning to accept the part of her that is a Jedi. She doesn't have to call herself that, but for the time being, there's no other word for it. There's no such thing as a gray Jedi. There's there's way seekers in the High Republic, but because there's no term for it, we kind of have to call her a Jedi.
No, I think that is the term. I think that she struggles with it because of the institution of the Jedi Order. She has good reason to feel badly about the Jedi Council specifically, how they kicked her out of the Order for a crime that she didn't commit, and they didn't trust her when she needed it most. All those masters that taught her, she felt like they all turned their backs on her, except for Anakin. So that's why she walked away. Then she met the Martez sisters, and they had some things to say about the Jedi. So she's been living life away from the Jedi Order, and I think that she probably feels disassociated from the term Jedi. But I think that over the course of the story, she's going to kind of reclaim it for herself and be like, no, I am a Jedi. I'm the Jedi as they should be at their core. I think that's going to be the journey of Ahsoka the Gray to Ahsoka the White. That at the end of Rebels, we see her in the white robe. That's Ahsoka the Jedi. But right now, at the start, she's going to be like, I don't want to be called a Jedi. Like, I'm my own thing.
There's so much power behind the word Jedi and just labels in general. And so she just doesn't want to label herself, maybe, in this moment in her life.
At that moment. But I don't know. To me, I've always been just in my head of like, you're still a Jedi. To me, Ahsoka. And so many people are like, yeah, Ahsoka's my favorite Jedi.
Yeah.
Despite what she wants to say about herself in Star Wars Rebels. And I like what you said about how she may have said that just to kind of jab at Anakin a little bit, where, you know I'm not a Jedi, technically. So revenge is my way right now.
Well, he was taking a jab at her, saying that's not the Jedi way. And she's like handing it right back to him and being like, dude, you know my story.
You've just made me sad because it's very it bookends how they first met. Like, they're being snippy with each other, except this time they're also like potentially going to kill one another. And that it's wild going back and listening to or watching the Clone Wars movie from 2008. And, it's not the best part of the Clone Wars, but every time they have that moment where they sit down and Ahsoka's theme kicks in, it mentally takes me to their end, where you hear like the sad version of Ahsoka's theme. The bookend is very good.
It's like when people call us YouTubers.
Okay.
It is what we are and what we do, but there's a negative connotation to it.
There you go.
Sometimes.
Yeah, that you're right. It's exactly like that, where I'm like, I don't know, when people ask, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a YouTuber. And I'm like, I feel like I have to explain myself beyond that.
Exactly. Like, I mean, we shouldn't, and we should be proud of what we do because it's good. But yeah, I feel like Ahsoka's like, I'm a Jedi, but
yeah,
like she feels the need in this time in her life to explain so that people don't automatically assume everything they know about the Jedi is what she is.
That's a very good analogy, I think.
It's very binary, and she's a very non-binary
There are
Jedi.
shades of gray here.
But no gray Jedi.
Not a gray Jedi. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Joseph Mazakis wants to know how we feel about Sabine potentially being Force sensitive.
So we did this a couple weeks ago. It was like our title question for the Q&A. I'm going to change my answer, though. I feel like I feel like we need to address it again, because the marketing around the show has far more prepared me to be like, this is more than just combat training, I think. There was a tweet that came out today, this is Thursday when we're recording it, and it said like, a new Jedi will rise. And it wasn't all about Sabine, but I was like, it seemed very focused on Sabine. So I do think that we might see that journey for Sabine as she discovers her Force sensitivity.
Yeah. I mean, so I didn't see that, but I don't know what I said in the previous Q&A, but I don't think she's Force sensitive, but if she is, I won't mind it. Like, since then, I've seen people point out that she could be a direct descendant of Tar Vizsla, and like, if that gets brought up, that would be a cool window for her to go through into being Force sensitive.
Like, now I'm trying to decide if I like that, because my hiccup, my hang up on whether or not Sabine would be Force sensitive is that I didn't want it to happen off screen. But looking at the trailers and stuff and seeing her putting a hand up to Shin and her being like, you have no power, I think that we could see her open herself up to the Force. There's a moment in Star Wars Rebels, the Trials of the Darksaber episode, Hera says, do you think she's struggling because she doesn't have the Force? And Kanan corrects her by saying, the Force is within everyone, you just have to be open to it. So I think it would be cool to see someone at Sabine's age and a series tackle what it's like for someone at that age to reopen themselves up to the Force and show that it's not just something that only a select few people get. It's just a natural talent versus having to learn it.
Yeah.
And seeing Sabine struggle to learn to use the Force, I think, would be pretty interesting.
And they could go into, maybe she's always been Force sensitive, but growing up, she had to live the life of the Mandalorians. Like, she had to live by the Mandalorian way, and she suppressed it.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect way of putting it, too, because Mandalorian society, very warrior-like, conquer-like. She was part of Clan Ren, House Vizsla, part of Death Watch, her family was. So that, I would not say is conducive to, like, a balanced Jedi life. So it could be something that she suppressed and is now rediscovering. So that was my big thing. I was like, as long as it didn't happen off-screen, where, like, we jump from Rebel Season 4 to 9 years later, or however long, and all of a sudden Sabine's like, I'm a Jedi. Like, I didn't want that. But if we get to see her become a Jedi, I'm like, okay, I think that could be pretty cool.
Maybe through healing all of her past trauma, through her healing, she is realizing that it's always been there, and she's just never nurtured it, because we see Grogu go through horrendous trauma, and then his abilities in the Force are very much diminished. So, like, I think it goes up and down depending on what you're going through. So it could have shown itself very early on in her life, and then she could have suppressed it deep, deep down. And then once she heals, it's like, hello, hi, I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and we've seen a lot of stories about, like, Cal suppressing his abilities in the Force and having to go recover through his trauma and reconnect with the Force and become strong again. I very much think that the Force is a sliding scale of just how you're feeling on any given day, where if something terrible happens to you, it's going to shake you. Obi-Wan is another example of, like, he just let it go and disconnected himself, but it's always something you can recover from. And I've also always liked the idea that the Force is available to anyone who is willing to put in the time and effort to open themselves up to it. It's not just for Jedi. I guess it can be helpful if you have Skywalker or Palpatine blood, but
so where did
that's why I'm like, oh, I don't know if I love the Tar Vizsla angle, because I would be, I think, happier if we saw Sabine just becoming Force sensitive herself as just some person who never thought she could be.
So do you not subscribe to the midichlorian count making a difference?
Well, midichlorians, I see them as a signal of potential, and, like, yeah, if you see Anakin with a high midichlorian count, you're like, that kid's gonna go places. They have a natural talent in the Force, but it doesn't mean that someone with a low count cannot also be a Jedi.
Do you think they'll ever bring those back? Sorry, I'm on a sidetrack, but now I'm kind of like,
I think so.
Are they ever going to talk about midichlorians again?
I think so. I mean, they've brushed up against it with M count and stuff in The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But they haven't said the full word. And even in, like, books and stuff, it comes up rarely, and usually in prequel content.
Yeah, I think there's room for it.
I think so too. I think we can expand upon it and make it a little more understandable.
This video is sponsored by BetterHelp. I've struggled with stress and anxiety for years. I started going to therapy back in 2012 and have been going off and on ever since. Talking to a therapist has been a huge help for my mental health as well as my professional and personal life, but there's no denying therapy can be expensive and time-consuming. That's where BetterHelp is different. Their services are entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, giving you the ability to visit a therapist from the comfort of your home. When you sign up, you just fill out a brief questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you get matched with a licensed therapist chosen to meet those needs in as little as 48 hours. BetterHelp offers a broad range of expertise with over 20,000 therapists that can give you access to help that may not be available in your area. Schedule video and phone sessions or message your therapist anytime. If you're not happy with your therapist, you can request a new one at no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/SWE to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/SWE.
Starchasm, Vaxchiel, and Chris Ray ask for our thoughts on the Ahsoka trailer that featured Hayden Christensen's voice.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that. Where were we? We were somewhere when that happened, and I didn't have time to just like straight up cover that one trailer, but yeah, it was Hayden with new dialogue, saying Ahsoka's name alone just sounded great.
I'm a fan.
Is that we're for it? It's a simple answer, but yeah, it definitely got me hyped.
I mean, as soon as we saw him come back for Obi-Wan, we were like, they gotta put him in Ahsoka somewhere. Whether it's a flashback, whether it's a Force ghost.
I think even before Obi-Wan came out, The Hollywood Reporter said something like, he's also going to be in Ahsoka. We're hearing whispers, so I'm not surprised by it. I am surprised that they put it in a trailer. That shocked me.
Maybe they're like, this isn't enough hype for this show. Let's sprinkle Hayden into the mix.
How do we add up more hype? A little bit of Hayden. Sprinkle some Hayden in there.
Oh, and it worked.
Oh, it always works.
I think that was definitely part of the plan all along. Like, eventually they were going to tease that.
Yeah.
And get people real excited.
It was like, I think maybe they knew that people knew it was going to happen. Otherwise, maybe they would have saved it for a Luke Skywalker at the end of The Mandalorian kind of reveal.
Ooh, or maybe something like that happens in the first 2 episodes and they didn't want it to leak. So they were like, let's put this out there now.
Get people ready. But the second half of all of those questions was, do we think we'll see him in flashbacks or Force Ghost or both? And I kind of think both.
I hope both. Because I had been a big fan of the Force Ghost conversation for the 2 of them from the beginning, but then we got the flashback scene in Obi-Wan, which Hayden looks great for his age. Looked a little rough.
I mean, yeah, he was a 40-year-old man playing a 19-year-old, not even a 19-year-old at that point. And everyone was just like, we forgive that.
No. Yeah, I totally forgiven. But part of me was like very bothered by it just because they will go to such lengths for Luke, you know, the fully CGI Luke or whatever. And they can't do like just a little.
That kind of, we're going to get off topic again, but it seems like Obi-Wan, a lot of that show's budget went to just getting
them on stage,
the cast back together, those 2.
Getting them through the door.
So yeah. They were, I think it was just like, let's put Hayden on the screen with a Padawan braid and everyone will buy it. And I did. I was like, there he is. It's just great to see them together again.
It'd be interesting if Hayden didn't want that, though.
Oh, yeah.
That's an option, too, which I would for sure, like, commend.
Sure.
Because that would be cool, too.
But to your point, look forward to seeing him with the full-on, like, Jedi hair. And
yeah, as a ghosty.
Looking more like Revenge of the Sith, classic Hayden.
Yeah.
I do look forward to seeing that. And I think that we could do both.
Mm-hmm. And they could definitely make him look younger if, you know, he's a little see-through and blue.
And even if they don't do that, again, I'm going to buy it. I don't care. Just like to see Hayden and Ahsoka talking together would be very interesting and very cool. And kind of like what we were talking about, how the animation has some nice bookends on their relationship. This show could bookend. Here they were as Master and Padawan, and here they are as Jedi and Force Ghost, where they get to hopefully reconcile or something.
Mm-hmm.
But he could help her. This could call back to that moment where she said, I am no Jedi, to him. And he can be like, no, Ahsoka, you are a Jedi, and you're everything.
You're way more Jedi than I ever was.
Yeah, like, the same way Obi-Wan says that to Anakin, like, you are a greater Jedi than I could ever hope to be. And then Anakin can say that to Ahsoka.
Aww.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be good. I like that. For it. Let's make it happen. Rick Villanueva, Starchasm, and Jay Rushton want to know what we think Chopper's kill count will be.
If you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels, and if you haven't kept up with our Rebels rewatch videos, podcast things, we talked about Chopper a lot and his kill count. He is a droid. He's the astromech, the orange one in the trailers, and he's a war criminal. So he has probably the highest kill count in Star Wars Rebels. It's literally in the thousands. So the question of whether or not he
A
has
lot
a
of
high
people
kill count.
in Star Wars could be considered war criminals by their kill counts.
I mean, Anakin commits several war crimes in the Clone Wars. There have been videos about that, but Chopper, I don't know if he's going to have a very high kill count in this show.
I don't think so, because like live action versus animation, they can do a lot more with Chopper in animation, have him twirling around with blasters and zapping everybody, and because he is like an actual like fully animatronic droid, I don't think they're gonna have him wheeling around murdering people. They could, which would be fun, I guess, to see, but I don't think they're gonna have him rack up too many deaths.
Keep all of that in mind, because we're going to talk about Chopper future and his antics. But I think it all. I bet they're going to give him a moment, just a little bit of fan service for for Rebels fans.
He could like push somebody off the edge. That would be easy for them to have the actual droid do.
Yeah, bump someone off of a cliff, or I mean, the question really is, will he destroy a capital ship? Because that's what bumped him into the thousands in Rebels, is he had an interdictor cruiser collide with 2 other capital ships. I mean, and that's thousands of crew members. So I don't think they will get anything like that, but I don't think he's going to be in the show that much. I hope he is, but I think he's probably going to be more of a secondary character than he was in Rebels, where he already was a secondary character.
Linux asks what kind of Chopper antics we want to see in Ahsoka.
See, I do hope that we get at least one moment where he rolls on his one middle wheel and he's got 2 blasters firing in the air.
His old grocery cart wheel in the front.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to go that far. It feels like when we were wondering if the Inquisitors would fly around with their lightsabers in Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I'm like, people already made fun of that in animation. I think it would work less well in live action. Chopper dual wielding and rolling really fast on his quick middle wheel is funny in animation. I think it might be a little too much for live action, but I hope they do it.
Yeah. I hope that he gets put into some disguise. I hope Sabine gives him a paint job.
Oh, that's a good one.
And granted, I feel like anyone should have a wanted poster and just like not use the C-series droids anymore because of Chopper. Because he did that so many times and snuck on so many ships and places just by being repainted in the Imperial colors. But I want to see that happen once in the show.
I think that's a great one, just to have him inexplicably very quickly painted and used as a disguise.
And I want it to be like Ahsoka or Hera and Sabine, or the characters just like look at each other and Sabine like pulls up the little paint gun and is like,
yeah,
and Chopper's like, no.
And I hope that we get some good voiced by Dave Filoni moments of just him warbling and being angry. I really am interested to see how far they go with him in live action.
I bet that's cathartic for Dave to do his voice.
I bet he is just swearing up a storm. And it's just all muffled bleeps.
Yeah. Jay Rushton wants to know what Glub Shido would make us super excited if they appeared.
So basically, I freaked out when Cobb Vanth was in The Mandalorian, when Cad Bane shows up, and there's always like a sliding scale of what a Glup Shido is. A lot of people wouldn't consider Cad Bane a Glup Shido, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to say anyone that's never been in live action before, I think would count. It'll be a surprise character for most fans.
I have 2.
You do one, I'll do one, and you do one more.
Okay. First one I thought of is one that I keep bringing up, the Bendu.
Bendu would be wild.
That would be super fun, I think. And if they got, oh my god, I can never remember his name.
Oh, the Doctor Who, the Doctor.
Tom Baker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well done.
If they got Tom Baker to voice him, That would be fun too.
I'm sure he would. And yeah, the Bindu is such a wild thing. It's weird that I keep going down these rabbit holes of they could go crazy in this show, and I hope they do.
Yeah.
I guess mine would be Barasafi, like just to give us some closure finally. Something with Barris. I don't know if there's room for it in this story unless she is Marok, but who knows?
Yeah. I am looking forward to very much seeing her return and how Dave finds a way to put her in the story. Maybe she's not in this one, like you said, but I think she'll pop up somewhere. And my other one was the son.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Like,
any of the Force wielders would be.
Any of the Force wielders. The daughter feels like...
I mean, we're probably going to see Morai in the show, so that feels like almost a given.
Yeah, so because, Ahsoka's already so connected to the daughter, let's get Sam Witwer in. Let's get the son back.
Well, it's like they all died, but so did the daughter. So it would be crazy if the daughter wasn't the only one with some sort of
bird animal that they are now.
Yeah, because she had like a griffin in Mortis that she could turn into, and he had like that crazy bat creature.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty interesting if this bat landed and then just started talking and it was Sam Witwer.
I mean, he could show up, and if they go into the world between worlds, he could show up there as himself or as some kind of creature.
I mean, I do think he's dead, but like his human-ish form. I think he and the daughter and the father all died, but like what does death mean for a being like that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even just the voice in a memory or a flashback, or like we've heard the voices of other Jedi and characters in the past, like I'd get excited for just the voice.
I thought of another one that is connected to Sabine, so I think there's a chance for this one. Finn Rao. I feel like I've been beating his drum for a while. What?
I don't
That's
know.
A normal thing to say.
Yeah.
But I was thinking that maybe he'd be in The Mandalorian at some point. So just knowing that he had a good kind of mentor friendship relationship with Sabine, there's a possibility for him to pop up. But there's also a chance that he died in the Great Purge, which would suck. But I'd like to see Finn Rao.
Adolfo Ontiferos asks if there are any characters we don't want to see.
I would go with Grogu, the Mandalorian. Like, yeah.
The betrayal.
I know that these stories are going to connect, obviously, as they move forward, but to introduce so many new fans into like the Rebels family and the Clone Wars, like there's already going to be a lot going on in this series. So I don't want the Mandalorian and Grogu to like kick in the door in episode 5 and take over the show.
That's fair.
But they will meet someday. They're all going to be together in Filoni's film, I'm sure.
I'm a little upset about it, but I get it. I get where you're coming from. I think we talked a little bit about him in the last Q&A, or maybe it was a Rebels rewatch discussion, but Rook, he should be dead.
Yeah.
I don't like him.
Well, he was just so hard to kill in Star Wars Rebels Season 4, and he's Thrawn's bodyguard / assassin who is from the Legends books. He's a character I was really excited to see in animation. I would not mind seeing a Nogri in live action, but when we were watching the Season 4 finale, or the Rebels series finale, and Rook just will not die until Zeb finally does put an end to him. But he keeps causing problems. He keeps popping up. And I was also like, will someone please just put a blaster bolt through his heart so we can move on?
Yeah. I thought of a couple other ones. Is his name Asmorgan? Asmorgan?
Yeah.
Please, no.
Yeah.
Like, Hondo? Yes, sure, great. I don't want Asmorgan in there with him.
Sure.
Although seeing him translated into live action would be interesting.
I'm with you on that. I say no thank you. I'm trying to remember if there are any other Rebels characters that I just like don't want to see. And I think for the most part I would be perfectly happy if like Ryder Azadi popped up, or what if Mart Matten was there? Like cameo appearance, Mart Matten played by Matt Martin. Like that would make okay, there's my glup shitto answer. I need to go back in time.
Perfection. Real quick, the last one that I don't want to see, Perrin. No one wants to see Perrin.
Just like no chance he would be. Okay, I guess there is a chance he'd be in there.
If Mon Mothma's
because
there,
Mon Mothma's there.
Perrin, go home.
That would be hysterical if like they're on that holo call and Perrin cut, like you see him walking through the background like eating space Doritos, and Mothma's like, Perrin, I am on a call. Like,
Perrin's like, I'm watching my shows.
Get out of here, Perrin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Nate wants to know where AP5 is. Where is AP5? Did they leave him somewhere?
As far as we know, I think he's still with the rebellion.
What was his original job? Because I know when we first see him, he's complaining because he's doing inventory and he's like, back in my day, I was good at this.
I think he was part of like military strategies.
Perfect. Put him with Hera on one of the bases and have him doing something important, or have him midnighting at one of the jazz bars, like singing.
Yeah, like let him live out his dream. I do think that there's a chance for a cameo for AP5. It's a droid, like, and they have those suits. You can easily do that, and even if we didn't hear him voiced by Stephen Stanton, but he were just in the background arguing with Chopper or something, like, we would know. I think there's a chance for that. I think there's a chance we could hear him speak. But if he's not in the show, then yes, I love that idea. He's moonlighting as a lounge singer somewhere.
Yeah. What did I say? I said midnighting.
Whatever.
Moonlighting.
Yeah.
This is what I meant. Yeah.
He's out there singing away like he wants to. That's a beautiful end for him.
We should. I just had such a good idea. All the words left my brain. I hope we get a story from him in one of the certain point of view books.
Star Wars Rebels from a certain point of view.
That would be so good.
They should. I hope they keep that franchise going. Like, I don't want them to wait 40 years for Phantom Menace.
That would be so popular. I mean, look how popular Rebels is already. To do a book like that. Cool.
I hope that in 3 years' time they just say, we're going to do the Phantom Menace. We're not waiting for the 40th anniversary. But if they decide to wait until 2039, then in between, they could do things like Rebels and Clone Wars and other things. That would be fun. That's all the time we have for questions today. If you want to leave a question for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on X, Instagram... I need to write this down. Follow us on X, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook.
Is that all of them?
I don't know.
And as always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.